The Riddles of Barabbas by Jonathan Doolan. We'd better get crackin' if names are your thing. You're told to believe in them, it would be sane to learn what they mean in Hebrew or Greek, find out if a teacher or clown you do seek. My approach handling John's Gospel's core discrepancy is note the differences when apt and stress this remedy. To guess two men are in these tales with so much variation, it's irresponsible for us to fail delineation. So I'd suggest two names whether shorthand or a fact, so Jesus, Son of Father, Son of Man, can interact. Son of Father in Hebrew translates to just Barabbas. Depending on the rhyme I need, I'll say J-bar J-bas. The other Jesus, he's a man with body made of flesh. So if I want to speak of him, I'll say J-lamb, J-beth. Barabbas spoke in riddles, for which Bethlehem was the rhyme, for Bethlehem meant house of bread or meat back in that time. No matter what the things we say, the truth or sophistry, words are what we use to tell the tale of history. Chapter 1. The Parable of Language. Barabbas travels from Nazareth to the lands around Galilee, where John the Baptist is preaching. Part 1. John the Gospeler. A man came from God, he was sent making riddles, and he'd testify of things both big and little. He did not make anything more clarified, through witness bizarrely and truth certified. While Jabeth, Messiah, gave light to all man, John's Gospel's parts an inscrutable plan. Though John described things in truth with no lies, those reading his writing could not recognize. Things made by men he through riddle would laud, till readers would say each thing's the Son of God. He starts with some words that he makes into flesh, so let's have a look at this metaphor fresh. Part 2. And. What word would come round between noun and noun? What is the distance between freed and bound? What word does God put between earth and sun? What word without which no thing can be done? I tell you and tell you and tell you both and, I riddle you this and I hide it in hand. And the word flesh became through metaphor, dwelling with us, telling us what's in store. If not for the and, the world's empty, forgotten. No new things without the only begotten. Just think what we'd be with no concept of and, alone without not even a concept of sand. John said of the phrase, and me and it's the latter, surpasses me, progress is made like a ladder. God repeated and set the universe in motion. From the bosom of a man we can repeat this notion. God is never seen directly in the eyes of man, but we have a connection through repeated use of and. If both and were words I said were with in the beginning, by noticing the play of words, the riddle you'd be winning. From fullness of and grace is given and given, the grace of the law by which Moses was driven, the grace by which Jabeth has so far forgiven, and now in this chapter John's Gospel has striven to present the truth in some words oft misgiven. Part 3. B. Through word the God of Moses made the world of his design, light, land, plants, and oceans, stars and creatures, then mankind. But don't neglect the other words, the ones you overlooked. The referential verbs and the conjunctions do the work. How much could one impart to magnify the mysticism by using referential verbs in anthropomorphisms? If is and am and was, will be were once as he described, who as he would have the answer is contextualized. What word is come between word and connotation? What word implies being and classification? To define, interpret, determine a meaning, the light of life is always revealing. When God brought a beast before Adam and called, "What do you think this beast ought to be called?" Adam began to form words with his mouth, to name all the livestock and birds and the trout. Each beast and bird had unique marks and features, but one or two syllables summed every creature. This symbolic thinking was really a feat known only to those walking on two hind feet. They had to use verbs of peculiar type. These verbs referential don't get too much hype. When anthropomorphized, I say these are me, and you can call me the words is, are, or be. Part 4. Becoming. Protons, electrons, and plasma in motion. What words what must be for becoming creation? What substance, what phase of what matter I am? The answer was even before Abraham. There was, and now is, and will be every gram, matter and energy, plasma I am. In time of John, that name I had not acquired, but they called me simply the substance of fire. Part 5. Jesus Barabbas. Pardoned by Pilate to Roman Rabbus, there was a man Jesus, they called him Barabbas. He hid in plain sight, though no one could find out. His criminal deeds were too many to count. His list of sins long as Azazel's the goat. His teachings forever be with us, he'll gloat. Set free in the forest, not noticed or dead, all sins of Israel confessed on his head. Part 6. John the Baptist. What word means to christen, immerse, and recruit. To baptize is generally the Christian pursuit. Baptism by water can make clean wheat muddy. Baptism by water can make clean wheat muddy. It's all such a mess the floor should be made floody. But if there's a piece of good wheat in that trash, a winnow fork could sift the wheat from the chaff. The Baptist named John could tell what he was washing. Not everyone went away clean. He was watching. Barabbas more clever than 10 men by half, and John knew a man with vile deeds in his path. The Baptist had 2 men who could help keep track. One name's reported, the other we lack. He told his men Andrew and Blank to watch some, telling them that this man is God's chosen one. Chosen for what, though, he does not quite say, a lamb for the slaughter or one to obey. And Drew thought that he understood, but not quite, said, we found Messiah, that is the Christ. Part 7. First Lessons of Barabbas. As these men then followed this Jesus that day, the Christ began christening one right away. Barabbas' first lesson is change people's names. Keep the general meaning the same. The size and the gender of object don't matter, and use euphemisms to add to the laughter. Don't ask if they mind, or ask, will this please us? Just take a Peter, and then make him Cephas. And then in Nathaniel we found his first witness, a man of sarcasm, a cynic, a wit. Son of God, Rabbi, and King he professes, all in the tone of a man unimpressed is. Barabbas says soon you will see more than that, like petting a dog or beating a cat. The angels of God and those of good intent, in profane decline and in righteous assent, in my name Jesus find teacher and clown. I will convey the way up's the way down.